Check 1, 2.
Curious about real estate? Yes! Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need, get over the fear, and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, everybody. Michael Quarles, podcast number 10. In today's podcast, I'm going to go over a way that you can market yourself to find sellers and buyers of real estate without spending any money on marketing. I've been asked over my career time and time again this question: Mike, how do you market if you have limited resources or don't have any money on marketing? And the simple answer to that is you market to everybody you know and everybody you don't know. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to create a list of all the people that you know who have an influence in your market. So they either live in your market or they have a piece of property in your market. So if a brother lives 2 states over, but he has a rental in your market, then he would go on the list. But if you say you have a friend that lives 3 states over, but doesn't have any property in our market, well, they wouldn't go on the list. So we're going to create a list of all of the people that you know, mom, dad, sister, brother, employer, co-workers, best friends, beer buddies, sports people that you hang out with, your gardener, your masseuse, your hairdresser, your manicurist, all those people that you come in contact with on a regular basis, especially those people you pay. So, if you have a gardener mowing your lawn, put them on the list. If you go see a hairdresser every other week, absolutely put them on the list. Mom and dad, sister, brother, co-workers, even former employers that would still remember you, and former co-workers. What we're trying to accomplish here with creating this list is to start on purpose associating with those people who like us, know us, do business with us, love us, and who also have an influence in our marketplace. So I want you to create the list. I want phone numbers. So you're going to make your list, and then I want you to go back and put phone numbers and addresses next to the names on the list. So using an Excel spreadsheet, you would go column A would be, the name. Column B would be the phone number. Column C would be the street address, D, the city, E, the state, and F, the zip code. So now you have this in an Excel spreadsheet format so you can use the data. So again, everybody you know, everybody you pay on a regular basis, people from your immediate past who can remember you and that have had a positive influence by you, go on the list. Some people you will not have their phone numbers for. But most of us nowadays with our smartphones and what have you, we got all kinds of people in our smartphone. Oh my goodness, if I looked at my smartphone, I would have 500 or 600 people in my smartphone, which may be the easiest way to compile your list. So look at your phone, look at your black book, whatever it is wherever you keep your phone numbers. Don't be afraid to put anybody that you've associated with in the past on the list. As an example, say 3 years ago you had an argument with someone or disagreement with someone about a football game, and you haven't talked to them since. And you can call them, you could say hello to them, your paths haven't crossed, or you would have, but you're thinking, well, the last time I talked to them, it wasn't good. I'm not going to put them on my list. Well, that's a bunch of BS. This is about your profitability and your future, and you want to buy houses. Put them on the list. Get over it. Life is tough sometimes. Besides that, who cares? 3 years ago was 3 years ago. Things change. We forget. One of the things that I know from experience is we can build up something so huge in our mind, and it's then so trivial in the mind of the person we're thinking about. Well, they didn't build it up. They didn't do anything. They don't know anything about it. But we've built this huge thing up. Well, let's knock down our own walls, put everybody on the list, put the people's phone number next to the name, put the address next to the phone number. Now, I want you to print these out. Print them out or write them down after you've got them on a list. Easier if you print them out. I'd love to have them on index cards that were maybe the size of 3x5s. So you have, you get your printer, you put some card stock in your printer, and you print all these things out, and then you cut them up in little 3x5 cards. So you have a name, a phone number, and an address on each card. You've cut them all up. Now I want you to fold them in half, and I want you to put them in a basket. So you have names, you have phone numbers, you have addresses. You've printed them on 3x5 sections that you can cut out, or you've written them on little cue cards. You've folded them up. You've put them in a basket. Go back to your list and count. How many do you have? I have 220. Let's assume there's 220. I want you to take the number of the people that you have and divide it by 22. The reason for 22 is we know that on average there's 30 days in each month of the year. Naturally, February there's less, and some months have more, but on average we have 30. We also know that we have 4 weekends a month, Saturday and Sunday. So if you go 2 times 4, that's 8. And I don't ever want to promote working on the weekend. I want a business that's on purpose, that's duplicatable and reliable, and I want to be able to be in business during the week and enjoy my weekends. Now, if I'm part-time in the beginning, maybe I have to be working on a weekend, but I'm not going to have a structure that does that where I'm setting something up on purpose. So I'm going to take the 22 weekdays that I have per month, and I'm going to divide it into my list. And in this example, 22 goes into 220 10 times. So what I'm going to do is every morning when I get out of bed, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every morning when I get out of bed, I'm going to reach my hand into my basket. I'm not going to look. The pieces are folded on purpose, so in case I do look, I can't notice, well, I want to talk to my best friend today, so I'm just going to pull that one out. So they're folded. I'm not looking at my basket. I'm just grabbing 10 cue cards out of the basket. I have no clue who they are. So now I'm going to open them all, 10 of them up, and those are the 10 people that I'm going to call today on purpose, and I'm going to say the following to them. And let's say their name is Billy Bob. I'm going to call Billy Bob up, and I'm going to say, hey, Billy Bob, this is Michael Quarles. How are you? Billy Bob's going to acknowledge that he knows me. He may say something like, life's good. How's life with you? Whatever that casual conversation's going to be. But then on purpose, once the casual conversation's over, I'm going to say to Billy Bob, just wanted to call and let you know that after a lot of thought and careful consideration, I've become a real estate investor. And I knew that if you knew someone who needed to sell their house because of foreclosure or divorce or retirement or moving out of the area or job transfer or whatever it was, I knew that you would want to refer me to those people, but I probably needed to let you know that I was doing this. So, and one of the nice things about my program, Billy Bob, is, when I buy a house from a seller, the nice thing for the seller is they can consider their house sold. Not only sold, but sold to somebody who can actually afford to buy it. And the really cool part about it is we can close on the day of their choice. So again, I'm buying foreclosures, I'm buying, vacant houses, abandoned houses, people that are going through divorce or job transfer, maybe, people that don't want their rentals anymore, or the house needs a lot of work and they just need to sell it, whatever the situation is. And one of the really great benefits to the people I know out there that are referring me is I have a referral program. And I know you probably wouldn't want to take me up on this, but I think it's beneficial to you. So anytime that you refer me to somebody that I end up buying the house from, I'll send you a $500 check, take you to dinner. We'll go have some fun together. And I also want to let you know that I've taken the step and I've mailed you some of my business cards. I've written your name on the back of it so you don't have to worry about how I'm going to find out you referred me. And with a letter of introduction with my business, so you just keep me top of mind. So do you happen to know anybody that's looking to sell a house? And Billy Bob's going to answer us. He's either going to say, no, I don't, Mike. Sounds like a great venture. How did you decide to get into real estate? Or he's going to say, yeah, the market's been pretty good, or the market's been pretty bad, or whatever it is that they say. But here's what I need you to do. I need you to be able to talk about real estate. So how do you talk about real estate? Because if you don't come across as an expert, a professional in the real estate business, and you're asking your friends and family to promote you, well, why would they promote someone who's not a professional, not someone that's not an expert? So if you come across like if Billy Bob asked you, what's the market like? And you say, I don't know, I'm just getting started. Well, Billy Bob's not going to promote you because Billy Bob doesn't want to look stupid in front of his other friends. So between the time that you start doing this and the time as you're making all these phone calls on a daily basis, I want you to read local news. So I know the newspapers, who gets the newspaper anymore? For this type of marketing, you need to know what's top of mind from a real estate perspective. Because here's what sellers do. Anybody that's interested in real estate who's selling or buying, they're reading everything. And local news is the most important. So if the local news is starting to talk about real estate or new home sales or existing home sales or job layoffs or whatever it is, you need to know what that article's talking about. So when Billy Bob asks you, tell me about the local market, you can say, hey, yeah, in fact, we have an increase of demand and we don't have much inventory right at the very moment. Or, there's a lot of layoffs going on at the local plant, which means that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to lose their job and ultimately lose their house since the income pays for the mortgage payment. And the nice thing about what I do is I'm going to be able to help those families save their credit. And then when you have this information and you come across as professional, Billy Bob then can promote you. And then I want you to go ahead and send him those business cards. Send him that letter of introduction. Write your name on the back of the business card so it makes it easy for him to refer you. And remember, we took our list, we divided it by 22. We've come up with 10 people a day or whatever the number is for you. I know that I'm not going to talk to all 10 people every day. Some of the people won't answer their phone. Some of the people won't call me back. That's okay. I'm going to talk to as many as I can. But here's what I'm going to do. On the back of the cue card, I'm going to put notes. So next month, I'm going to do the same thing. At the end of the Monday, the first Monday, I've got my 10 cue cards. I've talked to 3 of the people. I put my notes on the cue card. I'm going to take those 10 cue cards, fold them back, and put them in a new basket. And then Tuesday, I'm going to grab my new 10 out of the existing basket, do the same thing. At the end of Tuesday, I'm going to take those cue cards, put them in the new basket. Wednesday, the same way. So by the time I get to the end of the month, I'm going to start all over again. Now it's Billy Bob. Hey, this is Michael again. I spoke to you last month and just wanted to remind you I'm still here. Yeah, Mike, in fact, I know a guy down at the office now that's been talking about selling his house, and I'm going to say, Billy Bob, can you do me a favor? And he's going to, what's that, Mike? Can you give me his name and phone number by chance? Or would you rather call him and ask him if it's okay for me to call him first? And either way is okay. We don't want to squash the relationships with the people that are referring you by not allowing them to make sure that they have permission to give somebody else's name and phone number to you. So let them know that's okay. But even if Billy Bob says, yeah, let me call my friend and I'll call you back. Well, Billy Bob now becomes a warm prospect. He's my warm bird dog, my guy or my gal looking for houses for me. I'm not going to, at the end of that day, take Billy Bob's cue card and put it back in the basket. Billy Bob's cue card's going to stay with me until Billy Bob calls me back, or I have followed up with Billy Bob every day to ask him if he's gotten that person's name and information for me. And I'm going to keep that cue card with me until Billy Bob says this, Mike, he's decided not to sell, or that person has called me back. When I get one of those two things, I'm going to then take Billy Bob's cue card and put it back in the second basket. So I can add him to the mix next month. But while he's warm, I'm calling him every day. So how do you call a friend every day? people, these are friends, these are family members. This is your masseuse. This is your gardener. It's not a big deal. Billy Bob, this is Mike. Hey, I'm just wondering if you had a chance to talk to your friend yesterday or today. No, I haven't, Mike. Okay, well, I'll just call you tomorrow and check. Give Billy Bob some expectation. Give him some time limits. Hey, Billy Bob, I'm going to call you tomorrow around 3 o'clock. Can you get that for me? It's okay that you have to direct people to do what you ask them to do. It's all right. You're going to be buying houses. This is a sure way that over the next 30 days, you can buy a house and not do any marketing. That's the cool part. You're just being friends with your friends. You're being friends with your old friends. You're being friends with people you pay. That's a pretty cool thing. But you need to do it too. So if Billy Bob says, well, I sell Tupperware. You thinking about having a Tupperware party? Absolutely, Billy Bob. Why don't you bring all your friends over to my house and let's have a Tupperware party so I can tell all your friends I buy houses for a living. Wouldn't that be a great thing? So let's start communicating. Let's start talking to people. There's this theory in what's called the 6 degrees of separation, that if you know 6 people and you ask those 6 people to tell their 6 people, their 6 friends on purpose that you do what you do, and then you ask them to make sure that their friends tell their 6 friends, boy, you can touch everybody in the world. Well, most of us don't do that. So to recap this first section, you made a list. Mom, dad, sister, brother, masseuse, gardener, co-workers, past co-workers, past employers, everybody you know that doesn't not want to know you. So we're not putting enemies on it. And we're making cue cards out of it. We're folding those cue cards, we're putting them in a basket. We're dividing 22 into the number of people on our list. We're pulling out that many people a day. We're calling those people on purpose. We're taking notes on the ones that we know. If they're warm leads, if they happen to have an acquaintance or someone, we're keeping that until that person gives us that information. We're putting the rest back into a new basket so we can take them out again next month. We're not cheating. We're not only picking out people we like. Remember, this is your future. This is your money. It's $50,000 every time you buy a house. I would want to do everything I needed to do. So we're doing this with what we call our center of influence. Well, maybe some of you will say, but Mike, I don't have a center of influence. You do not have a center of influence. This is outstanding. And you are going to be a real estate investor. I know that I can come up with 21 people that you can add to your center of influence every week. So let's talk about those folks. So who are the 21? Well, being a guy that's built quite a few houses and rehabbed a lot of houses and taken them from how they look and make them into palaces kind of stuff, I know that there's about 21 different subcontractors in a house project. Plumbers, electricians, heating guys, plasters, painters, cabinet guys, woodwork guys, roofing guys, landscaper, the list goes on and on, but there's really only 20, 21, 22, something like that. So here's what I want you to do. Every day of the week, you're going to call a plumber or electrician or a cabinet guy or a roofing guy or whatever it is. You need to have them anyway, because when you go out and buy houses, you need to know what things cost. So when you look at, assess damages and repairs and the cost associated to fixing those things, you have an idea. So I'm going to call these subcontractors on purpose. And let's go back and we'll use Billy Bob again as a name. And let's say, for instance, I'm calling Billy Bob's Plumbing, because I want to talk to a plumber, and this is my first call. Well, how do you get Billy Bob in the first place? Well, one person on your list, that the previous list we spoke about, has to know a plumber. They just have to. If you ask someone on your list that you're talking to, even if you only have one person, mom, dad, mom, do you know a plumber? Dad, do you know a plumber? Best friend, do you know a plumber? Electrician, real estate agent, whatever they are. Great. So I'm going to call Billy Bob. Billy Bob, hello, Billy Bob's Plumbing. I'm going to say, is this Billy Bob? And Billy Bob's going to say, yes, it is. And I'm going to say, Billy Bob, so-and-so from so-and-so, or so-and-so, like my mom, referred me to you, and she said you were the best plumber in town. Billy Bob's going to get all excited because he's, people are complimenting him, which is a great thing. And he goes, yeah, how can I help? He says, well, I'm a real estate investor. My name's Michael Quarles with I Buy Houses. I buy houses from people in foreclosure and divorce and job transfers and people who have junky houses or they just don't like their rental anymore, all kinds of houses. I'm looking for a plumber and just wanted to know what do you do? Do you do time and material? Do you do estimates? How do you charge? Billy Bob's going to tell you. It doesn't matter. He's just going to tell you. Well, I charge. I give estimates. Oh, you give estimates. Great. Are those estimates free or do you charge for the estimate? Oh, we charge for the estimate, and then when you use us, we take that fee off. Outstanding. Terrific. Hey, Billy Bob, just out of curiosity, the other day I saw a house, or out of curiosity, what's a 40-gallon water heater cost to fix? Say someone ripped it off the wall. The plumbing is still there, but the water heater itself is gone. Or obviously it needs to be replaced. I can see that. And Billy Bob's going to give you an answer. And then so ask Billy Bob this question. So is that all it could ever cost, or could it cost more? So if Billy Bob said about $1,000, I'm going to ask Billy Bob, can you see it costing more? Can you see it costing like more than $1,500? I'm going to get Billy Bob to put a limit on how much that water heater will cost to repair. I'm going to use this information if I ever need it when I'm talking to a seller. But in this exercise, I'm just trying to get to know Billy Bob. And he goes, yeah, that's the most it will ever cost you is about $1,500. And I'm going to say, terrific. Being a real estate investor locally, we all kind of hang out together. And, one of the things that I know several of the other investors that I know look for are plumbers. Do you mind if I give them your information and refer you to them? And Billy Bob's going to say, no, I don't mind. I want all the work I can get. So great. Well, by the way, if you don't, if you're ever in a house and you overhear the owner saying, I wish I could sell this dump or whatever it is, keep me in mind. I pay a $500 referral fee. And in fact, I'm going to put some cards in the mail to you with a letter. And if you come across anybody, I'll pay you $500 if I end up buying the house. Billy Bob's going to say, outstanding. And you're going to say, before you close the conversation, you're going to ask Billy Bob this one thing. You're going to say, Billy Bob, who do you know that's an electrician? Because I also need an electrician. And he's going to say, Howard Stern's a great electrician over at Stern's Electrical. And I'm going to ask Billy Bob, can I tell Howard you referred me? And he's going to say, absolutely. So now my next call is going to be Howard Stern at Stern's Electrical, and I'm going to have the same conversation. I'm just going to talk about a different part of the house. So if I did this 4 times a day at the very minimum, at the end of the week, I'm going to know 20 things about a house. Well, let's say, for instance, let's look at plumbing for a second. So there's a sink, there's a tub, there's a toilet, there's a water heater, there's a sewer line, gas line, water line. That's it. Maybe septic tank, but maybe that'd be a different kind of contractor. So if I talked to 7 or 8 plumbers and asked each individual plumber about a different piece of the house, now I know what all the pieces of the house cost. But here's what I really have. I have at least 7 or 8 plumbers on my center of influence who I've just asked to do something on purpose, and that's refer me. I've asked them if they know anybody looking to buy or sell a house. I've asked them to refer me. I've sent them my business cards. I let them know I'm going to call them. And then we have to pick the ones that we want to call and do business with. Next month, I may call Billy Bob back. I may call Howard back and ask him some more questions. I may just call brand new plumbers and brand new electricians. What I'm trying to do is find those people that know people who have a house to sell, or find those people who have a house to sell themselves. So this is my second group of how I'm going to find houses without marketing dollars. And some of you are probably saying right now, I hope I haven't lost you yet. I apologize if I did. Mike, I can't do this. This is way too much work. Well, if you can't do it, then you have to pay for your marketing. We're talking about doing stuff that you don't have to pay for. Third group. This is the easiest group there is. The first group, you actually had to write down who knew you, all those people. The second group, you actually had to look and find those folks to call and have on-purpose conversations. The third group is perfect. I mean, it is, you don't know them and you don't need them. So you're not wanting to hire them in the future to do plumbing for you, and it's not mom and dad. So who is it, Mike? Well, it's everybody you come in contact with. So if you're in the grocery store line, waiting for the grocery store clerk to scan the produce or the product across the counter for people in front of you, have a conversation. Talk to somebody. Say, hey, how are you? And they look at you like, why are you talking to me? And if you can tell they don't want to talk to you, talk to the person behind you. Maybe no one wants to talk to you, but someone will during the day. So here's the conversation. Isn't it? I'm gonna role play a little bit. I'm gonna try to role play with myself, so it's gonna sound like I'm talking to myself. Nothing special there because I talk to myself all the time. But I'm gonna say to the person in front of me, I'm saying, "Isn't this great?" And they're gonna say, "Well, yeah, what's great?" I said, "You know what? I go to a church and we actually sponsor people and help them and feed them and food and water and clothing, those kind of stuff. It's just kind of a cool thing. I bet you some of those people would love to have a grocery store they could stand in. Most of them, it's a little tribe of people, and they don't have running water, they don't have electricity, they absolutely don't have grocery stores. Oh, by the way, my name is Michael Quarles with I Buy Houses. I buy houses from all these different types of people. I close on the day of their choice. I pay cash. The seller can consider it to be sold. That little speech I gave earlier, I call it my elevator speech. We should all know our elevator speech. I hand them a business card. I'm always prepared to hand someone a business card. Then I ask the most appropriate question. Who do you know that's looking to buy or sell a house? I don't know anybody. Oh, my husband and I have been thinking about it. My wife and I, whatever it is. You guys have it's terrific. What kind of house are you looking for? What kind of house do you have to sell? But here's what I want you to do. Start talking to people about buying houses. You will absolutely be surprised when you have on-purpose conversations with people about buying houses, how many houses you'll find to buy. But most of us, here's what we end up doing. We go, well, I'm going to have folded hands. I'm not going to talk to anybody I don't know about anything I don't know about, and I'm just going to be that stranger that no one wants to talk to. Well, my goodness, can we just go buy some houses? Talk to people. Talk to mom. Talk to dad. Talk to coworkers. Talk to plumbers. Talk to electricians. People you don't know yet. People that you're going to make great relationships with. Who knows? If you think about it, all the relationships you have now, you didn't know before. So you must be able to have friendships. You must be a good guy or good girl. And then talk to people you don't know about things you do know because you're reading the newspaper. You're reading Google, news about real estate. You're researching. You're able to answer questions. Here's what you have to do. You have to have confidence that you know what you're talking about. You can't be standing in the subway line getting your sub sandwich and fear that you can't bring up the conversation that you're a real estate investor because you haven't done your homework. That maybe somebody else standing in line knows more. Well, who cares? If they know more, shake their hand and say, are you looking for a bird dog? You looking for a wholesaler? Find a buyer for your real estate. But if most people won't know as much as you do already about real estate, so don't worry about it. So I guarantee you, if you did this on a daily basis, you will buy a house in the next 30 days. You will find that opportunity. You will be referred to. Something's going to happen. And let me back up. All those strangers on that third group that you're saying hello to in the grocery store line and the Subway sandwich line, you hand them a business card. One of the magical things about people when they get a business card for a stranger and they have one of their own, they give one back. So guess who gets to go on your center of influence list for next month? So you're going to go back, make them a cue card. You're going to put it in basket number 2 and draw it out blind the next month. And you're going to call the person, hey, this is Michael. I saw you at Subway the other day, last month, 2 months ago, whenever it was. Just wanted to remind you, I'm still looking for houses. Also, if you got their business card, they're a mortgage person, they sell cars, whatever it is. Have conversation, create some relationships, buy some houses. I hope this makes sense. It's been about a half an hour, and I'm going to get back to my football games. I'm listening to it in the background. It sounds exciting, and I hope you guys go out and kill a house. Buy a house in the next 30 days. Good luck. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.